Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you very much, Mr. Swope. I remember you very well, going all the way back to 2001, and your presentation was excellent, and the chronology of events was very helpful, because I have a pretty good memory, but it was good to hear the summary and the review. Where I think from constituent questions comes newspaper reports that took place, and one of the pieces in the chronology, I mean, we still historically referred to it as the Barnstable Water Company, but there was that change from the Wadsworth ownership of Barnstable Water to Connecticut Water purchasing the entity. And the newspaper reports at the time, and correct me if my math or my numbers are not quite there, but I think, if I remember correctly, Connecticut Water bought the entity from Wadsworth and their corporate partners for $6.5 million.
6.7, I think, was the number that was, because Connecticut Water is a public company, so they had to report those things.
Okay, so as a public company, so I was close. It was $6.7 million. So I think where many in the public bring this back up is they had the impression that the actual cost and using the leverage of the 286 law as a threat, albeit very helpful that you explained that we could be looking at $750,000 to $1 million worth of litigation costs. So that's a very important element of the program in terms of the numbers. But I think people out there thought if Connecticut had just paid, I mean, I think they only kept the entity. They may have been holding it for 2 years. Once the whole thing was done, if I remember correctly, it was about a 2-year run between buying it from Wadsworth and selling it to us. And I think some folks out there didn't think they did a whole lot in terms of improving the infrastructure. Clearly, there was history prior to that the infrastructure was not well maintained. We know that. We knew that during the study that Mr. Zwena did, who worked with you, and we've learned that more and more since. And now we're investing in the entity substantially. But I guess where the sticking point comes to that purchase, that it was a very recent purchase that Connecticut Water made of the entity at $6.7 million, yet we ended up at $11 million. So what would you, if you were in our shoes and a constituent stopped you at the post office and asked such a question, what would you say in terms of that number and where we ended up with as a purchase price and where that actual cost would play in?
Well, I mean, mechanically, the answer is that the engineering studies and the accounting studies we had done showed that the Connecticut Water did, in fact, expend substantial money on the company after it purchased it, and that all became actual cost because it was current dollars. And that's what raised the price on their books, and in a way that would have been creditable even under our arguments above $10 million.
So if I hear you correctly, if you add in some more, you're at 6.7, you add in some more investment that they put in, that they legitimized on their books, and if we had gone to court, we would have been looking at another $750,000 to $1 million in litigation. Say they put in another $1 million or $1.5 million into the, I don't know what the actual number is.
I don't have that. It's in the SEA engineering
report. But they put some money into the system. So you add that to the 6.7, you add the litigation costs. So you're saying, from your professional viewpoint, the 10 number and the separate million for Barlico landed about where you would have landed if you had promulgated the lawsuit alternatively.
To state it another way, it was my opinion that the risk that the town ran of a much higher number because of the investments that have been made and because of the uncertainty of the legal arguments that's inherent in any legal argument. And as I said, each charter is different, so while we'd won cases in for other towns, there could not be the same, there was not the same language in the Barnstable decision, so there was always uncertainty. The discounting for the risk of loss, a purchase price of $10 million plus the $1 million for the Barlico land was certainly a reasonable compromise of the town's position and the company's position.
So you